So if I have not met you guys before, I'm Shannon Mangan, and I host this webinar series each month. I call it Instagram for Normal People. You can be weird, but it's for people that are struggling with like the normal frustrations of content creation. So if you're someone that's like been posting and you're just frustrated, like, why am I not getting business? Or I don't know what to post, or I'm seeing other people and I get like intimidated. That's what this webinar is for, because we all share like the same normal anxieties and frustrations. So that is what that is about. And I always have a different guest on each week. So I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to introduce Alyssa. And I'm excited to have her here. Okay. I should have set this up a little bit better. Let me see if I can widen. Ah, all right. Okay, so y'all can see my screen okay? All right, so if we're not connected, this is where you can find me. I'm Shannon Mangan. I'm at the.mangan.team on Instagram. And then Alyssa McIntyre is my special guest today. And I'm just honored that she took off time today. This is like a celebration day for you, right?
Yeah, it's my birthday, so
And she
and I
decided to spend it here on our webinar. So I feel honored. So this is Alyssa, the Alyssa McIntyre is where you can find her at. And do you want to tell us like real quickly about yourself, like where you're from, how long you've been in the business?
Sure. So originally I'm from Pittsburgh. I was born there and lived there until I was about 8 years old. My mom moved us to Sarasota, Florida when I was 8 years old. And so I basically grew up in Sarasota, which is an hour south of where I live right now, up in Tampa Bay. Um, how long I've been in real estate, that's a two-part question. I've actually been in the industry for 24 years. I started when I was 19 as a receptionist, just answering a phone, and spent about 17 years just doing a lot of back office stuff. I was an office manager. I did commissions. I did all the paperwork, managed staff and things like that. And decided that my kids were getting a little bit older. They needed me more and I wanted some more flexibility. I was tired of kind of punching the clock and someone telling me where to be and when to be there. So I was like, the only thing I could think of doing is sales. So I decided to go get my license and spend some time doing property management and building my business. And then decided a couple of years ago to stop doing property management and simply focus on sales. So I've been in the industry for 24 years, been licensed and selling for 7. And
So
a little bit about myself. I'm married. I've got 2 kids. My oldest is 20. She'll be 21 at the end of May. And then I have a bonus daughter who is 19. She just finished her first year. She's finishing up, I guess, her first year of college. My oldest is figuring out what she's going to do with her life and probably going to be starting school soon here to do something with IT and possibly move to another state. We'll see. But my husband and I love Halloween. That's our big thing. He makes costumes for a living, actually, for haunted attractions and theme parks and things like that. And we have 2 dogs that we absolutely love. They're 2 French bulldogs. One of them is his name is Chuck Norris, and the other one is Pete.
I love that. So y'all have like a very busy, full life, it sounds like, and
We
fun.
do. We do. It's fun. It's definitely keeps everything interesting.
Well, I'm going to play a couple of your videos if you don't mind, just to get people like a taste of what they can find on your page.
Sure.
So here's one of them, and let me just make sure my sound is up.
Laugh when you hear the story about the time I busted my ass while showing property. A lot of times I have buyers who are relocating here from another state, so they're not readily available to take a look at properties in person. So when that happens, I usually grab my phone and we do a FaceTime showing. So this one day I'm showing property to my buyers and I decided to wear a pair of shoes that I hadn't worn in a long time. As I'm walking down the stairs of this 2-story home with them on FaceTime, my foot hits the stairs and slips, and I immediately remember why I don't wear these shoes. I proceed to fall on my ass, hit my back on the stair, and then slide down every single step on the way. Somehow I managed to hold on to my phone and didn't drop it. And when I jumped up and tried to act like that didn't just happen, I was met with horror on everybody's face that was on FaceTime. And I'm telling you, it was the husband, the wife, the parents were there. Everybody was there. I had a great audience that got to witness my great fall. Somehow I managed to recover and finish the showing. And when I got home, I immediately trashed those shoes. You're gonna have a good laugh.
I love that. Maybe you can have had like a horror story like that before on a FaceTime or live. That's like one of the reasons I don't love live videos. I've not had anything that bad, but I one time was doing like an open house. It was kind of quiet and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this open house tour. And someone walked in and I didn't realize it. And so I turned around, I was just like, oh, and dropped the phone, pick it up, but the live like kept going. And
Oh
so
my gosh, that's so
yeah.
funny.
I just realized it like all of a sudden 3 minutes later. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it was just my face of like, so, all right. I love that because it shows you like kind of shows your personality. It's like you're straightforward. You're not afraid of like sharing something fun about yourself or embarrassing. Here's another one that I thought was kind of clever as well. Oh,
Game called Name That Price. And if you play along, you could be a lucky winner of a $25 Amazon gift card. So keep watching to find out how you can do that. This is a home that I held an open house at 5 years ago in South Tampa. It's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath home with over 3,000 square feet. And at the time, it was listed for $598,000. Fast forward 5 years, how much do you think that house is worth today? Put your guess in the comment, then message me your email address, and you are automatically entered to win a $25 Amazon gift card. So start guessing. Let's
okay, cool. So I wanted to just show a couple of those just to kind of like showcase your style and who you are. And I love that all of your videos are like I know immediately I'm like, oh, it's Alyssa. And it's not just the pink hair, but it's just like as soon as I see some of your posts, I'm like, okay, it's Alyssa. And I feel like you had one of those accounts that just kind of like popped up where I had not been seeing you. And all of a sudden, like in the last year, I'm like, oh, I keep seeing you. I keep seeing you. And I started following you. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about your Instagram journey. Because I know you recently worked with a coach to kind of help you transform your page. And so I kind of wanted to start there. Like, what was your page before? And then kind of how would you describe your style like after you've gone through this transformation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started coaching probably close to 2 years ago. Like I said, have been doing real estate and was doing all the typical things that realtors do. Like you're posting your sales, you're posting, look how busy I am. And, I just figured that was what people do. And then I started discovering that that's not really how I'm going to reach people. That's not how people are going to decide if they want to work with me or not. And I knew that things were becoming a lot more digital. People were doing a lot more social media. And I wasn't quite sure where I needed to start. I know personally, I am, I love to have fun. I love to make people laugh. I don't take myself too seriously. Again, my hair needs to get done. I'm going like in a week to get my hair done, but usually my hair is a lot brighter pink. I've got tattoos all over me. And I used to think that I couldn't be that person, that I had to pretend to be a different person. Like I had to have professional Alyssa and I had to have personal Alyssa. And when I started doing my social media, that's basically how I did it. I had one professional account and one personal account. But then I noticed that when I was working with people, what kept the common theme that everybody always told me was how much fun I was to work with and how they felt that I was a real person and I had a great sense of humor and I truly cared. But if you looked at my professional Instagram or my professional social media, none of that showed. It just was, hey, look at all this stuff that I'm doing. And it didn't really serve any purpose. So, not really knowing what I needed to do, I was like, how do I even go about doing this? Like, I just started recording myself doing videos horribly because I keep some of those videos on my Instagram just to remind myself of how far I've come because they were not good when I first started. And but I knew I needed to do something. So I ended up actually I was listening to it's not a thing anymore, but at the time it was Over Ask Podcast, which is Eric from the Broke Agent and Matt Leonetti. They had a podcast and I happened to listen to it one day and there was a guest that they had on who was a social media coach. And so I was like, well, maybe this is what I need. So I went and looked her up and just kind of, stalked her for a little bit, clicked on her link to find out what it was, saw how much the cost was. It wasn't cheap. And I was like, oh, like this is so much. And I'm like, but you know what? I got to invest in myself. If I want to get better, I need to do something. So maybe this person's going to be able to at least help me a little bit. And so that was the last day that I had to sign up and I signed up. And I'm telling you, it was by far the best thing I ever did for myself, investing in myself and my business and investing in myself. And one of the first things that I learned when I started coaching was get rid of your professional account. And I was like, oh, but that's like how are people going to know I'm a realtor if I don't have a professional account? And going through coaching was really a fulfilling thing. It was more than just learning about how to look at the camera and having a good hook and keeping your videos engaging. It was, a community of people that I got to meet that, we encouraged each other. We learned from each other. It was like a no judgment zone, and you were able to kind of like build each other up and kind of learn together as you were, going through the coaching and stuff like that. And, the best thing I could say about it is Giselle really taught me how to be the non-copy and pastable person. Like you look at Instagram, you look at social media now, there is a lot of people, like that's why they call them trends. People are doing the same things. And while that is fun and it is great to do that, it's really important to kind of just have your own thing. And there's times that I look at stuff and I kind of, whether I do the same exact thing or I make it my own, I still do have that kind of stuff happening. But it was really learning to find out who I was and learning to be my authentic self. And she made this quote, and I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget what it was. But she quoted this quote of Miles Davis, like one of my first classes, and it really stuck with me. And it said, "It took me a really long time to sound like myself." And that's exactly what they teach you in the coaching. It's not just the tactical things of this is what you should do with your videos, but this is who you should be, and who you should be is you, because there's no one else like you except for you, and no one else can be you except for you. So if people want to see you on social media, they want to know that who they're seeing on camera is who they're going to meet in person. So that was something that I really dug deep, got out of my comfort zone, because I'm very much somebody who's a wallflower. I joke because I'm like, I don't like attention, but on my birthday, I don't know why. I love my birthday, but maybe because I just love celebrating my life. And I'm just like, thank God for every day that I have. But it's really pulled a lot of my shyness out of me. And it's really, really helped me gain confidence in myself too. So not just on camera, but in every part of my business and my life.
No, that's awesome. I dropped the name Giselle Ugardi. If you're not following her, I know she's like a very popular video and Instagram coach, but I dropped her name in there. You can look her up on Instagram. You can get a lot just by watching her videos. She's very like straightforward and sometimes blunt, but she's like always on point, but also very like encouraging and motivating at the same time. I relate really well to what you said about, feeling like you have to be professional, because I kind of went through the same thing myself when I first got started. I was switching careers from being a trainer at schools. I was a teacher, and then I did like training for teachers. And I don't know why, but like just the thought of being on video made me nervous and being recorded. And so I would kind of do the same thing. I was like, I'm usually more relaxed. I was used to working with kids and like joking around and being like a little more silly. But I don't know why. I just thought like, okay, people need to take me seriously and I got to look all professional. And so I would actually spend like an hour, like I would do my hair, like curl it. I'd dress up like fancy, like a blazer or whatever. And then I would do the most horrible, boring market updates because I wanted to sound like I, knew what I was talking about, along with a little just sold, just listed stuff. And so what I did was I also hired an Instagram blogger that was just a local Austinite, and I hired her, paid her a good chunk of change too, to just look at my account because I heard she was doing Instagram audits. And so I was like, okay, I need someone from an outside perspective, because I'm like, I'm posting, I'm doing stuff, and I'd gotten like maybe one sale off Instagram from a friend, but I was like, I'm missing something here. And so I paid her like $1,200. And I just basically was like, I want you to audit my account and just tell me, like, as an Austin homeowner, if you found my page, would you pick me to be your real estate agent? And she's like, okay, give me a couple days. I'm going to come back with feedback. And so she comes back and she's just like, no, I would not hire you. And I was like, okay, like here's $1,200, but I'm just like, why? And it was kind of the same thing that, you mentioned it. She's like, I don't really know who you are. You look like every other real estate agent out there. Everyone brags that they're top agent, whatever. I get that you sell houses, but she's like, I don't know who you are and like what's your personality and everything. It's not coming through.
Right.
So there was a couple exercises, and I don't know if you want to share maybe something that helped with you, but like one of the exercises that was helpful for me was she's like, your page should be about your audience, not about you.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, it's spot on. Like, I was just like, look what I sold, look what I sold. Cause I was thinking of it as just advertising myself. And she's like, think of it from an audience's perspective. Why do they want to show up to your page? And
Right.
so she's like, write down 5 words, adjectives that you would want your ideal client to use to describe you.
Yeah.
So think of like the perfect Google review. How would someone describe you? Come up with 5 words. And it seems like a simple task, but it actually took me a long time to think about that. So
Yeah.
if y'all want to jot down, I see some people that look like they're thinking, but just jot down that question, 5 words. How do you want your ideal client to describe you? And another one was 5 adjectives. How do you want them to feel when they're on your Instagram page?
Yeah.
And that was another really weird question because I never thought about people feeling something, but she's like, what is it that you want them to feel when they're there?
And I
And
wrote down some notes like preparing, and you said a lot of like what I was saying, like,
yeah,
and because I know one of the questions you're probably going to get into is like how I found my style. And like
yeah,
I wrote down things like what helped me was like, obviously, don't be someone else. Like, how can you bring value into people's lives? Like, who do you serve? Why would someone want to work with you? It's about building relationships with people, using your content. And people need to hear your story exactly the way that you can tell it, because no one can be you but you. No one's experienced what you've experienced. And that's exactly what people want to see. They want to see that when they meet you in person, they feel like they already know you. And like the video that you showed, the first video of the story of me talking about falling down the stairs, I actually got a lead from my social media from that video. And, when they reached out to me and booked an appointment with me, I asked them, what video was it that stood out to you the most? And they said, honestly, they said it was that video that you told the story of you falling down the stairs. They said, we just were laughing so hard at that. And we just love that you were real. And that, so then they said, we feel like we already know you when I met them in person and start showing them property. So that's exactly what you want to do. Like, and now that I've been doing this as long as I have, like there's times I go to other agents' pages because part of what I do in my own business is connecting with other agents. Like I send a lot of one-to-one video messages to when people follow me. I make it a point to send them a hey, thanks for following me. To build a agent to agent referral database, I send a lot of personal messages to agents, and that's something that you want to do and like have that be out there and like people seeing exactly who you are, and they feel like they know you already, and they're not like a surprise when you meet them in person. It's not like they're meeting a stranger. It's like they've already been working with you for so long. So
no, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And that was, like I said, like having an outsider look in. I like that I had a non-realtor look at my account because I feel like sometimes in real estate coaching, you go to all these trainings, it's like you're told, oh, do this, this is a great video, whatever. But I'm like, what
yeah.
does an outsider think who's not actually in the business, you know? And so it
And
was
you'd be
just kind of
surprised
different.
also how many agents don't even have where they serve. Like
Yes.
I've come across so many agents where I'm like, I don't even know where you work. And even if I clicked on one of your pictures, you have the address, but where is this address? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Now, as far as style, this is what I also thought was helpful. Like, there's no right or wrong. There are people that are very like analytical and all they give are like factual information. There are people that are like stand-up comics like Matt Leonetti. There's
Yeah.
storytellers like Glenda Baker. Like, you can do completely different things and still have success as long as it is like reflective of you.
Right.
Um, Another tip I had gotten from this Instagram coach was, and it was super helpful. She's like, you need to stop following or looking at all the real estate accounts because she's like, it's just going to mess with your head. And so she's like, I have a whole account that she was growing to teach people how to grow. Like she was like an Instagram business class that she was teaching. And she's like, there's tons of people selling Instagram business classes. She's like, when I'm trying to come up with fresh content, I'm not going to look at those for ideas because then you're like, oh crap, I should have thought of that, or they did that better. Oh man, I look like a copycat. And she's like, and then you might end up being like, oh, that's a good idea, but you're trying to steal what they did and it doesn't really work with you.
Right.
So one of her tips, she's like, just spend a couple of days, and she's like, I want you to just go through your explore page and just look through tons of reels and just whatever makes you inspired. Maybe you're like, that's a cool video, whatever the style is or whatever, different industry. It could be the cool editing that they use, the music that they did. It could be like if it was humorous or whatever, but she's like, just go through and start saving those. And then if you see an account, like click on their account. And if you see that you love all of their content, start following some of those to get you just out of the real estate industry. I'm not saying like don't follow I obviously follow other realtors, but like just for ideas, she's like, and then come back and tell me like which accounts did you kind of lean towards. And so for me, again, like coming from my background with teaching and working with kids, I found a lot of the stuff that was like humorous. I love music. I love like the nostalgia sites that like go back and talk about the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. And so I was like, I lean towards these things. And she's like, start incorporating more of that. Like put your humor in there. Cause I would joke around with my kids and I was like, you know, I love music. So she's like, weave music in there. And then when you look at other realtor accounts, you know, kind of look at like, okay, this person's good at putting out good content, but maybe take some of those concepts and like, okay, how can I make it a little funnier or lighthearted or blend in some music or, you know, something like that where I'm kind of putting my own spin on it.
Right.
So I would say like that was a huge thing was just don't only follow agents, but just go to your explore feed and just follow like anyone that just resonates with you, you know, and that kind of helps you get more ideas and just be a little more creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was gonna ask you something else. And so what would you say, like what kind of transformation have you seen in your business since you've kind of applied, you know, what you've learned and, you know, started really putting out content that's reflective of you?
Well, it's definitely transformed my business because for a while, you know, I was doing a lot of things of what I thought that I should do. I was very educational heavy when I first started doing my videos. I think I was coming more from a comfort standpoint because it was like, it was easy for me to just, I know what I'm talking about. So it's kind of like I can just talk and get used to being on the camera and doing stuff because I'm just giving facts. I'm not really showing anything about myself. But then again, I started realizing that yes, people do want to know stuff. They want to know facts. They want to know information, but anybody can do that. Anybody, any realtor can tell a seller how to sell their house or how to do this. And, you know, and while they need that, they want to know that they feel comfortable and connected with the person that they're talking to. So for me, my style became a lot more of, you know, even just coming up with my own personal brand. Like I knew that I wanted to be myself. And I decided that instead of covering myself up my tattoos or not coloring my hair pink anymore and trying to be something I'm not, I was like, I want to attract the people I want to work with. So if somebody doesn't want to work with me because of my tattoos and my pink hair, that's cool because I probably don't want to work with them either. They're probably pretty boring people. And like I know we already talked about, you know, when you're tooting your own horn, and I just posted a video recently that said unpopular opinion. No one cares about your how much sales volume that you close because they don't. It doesn't serve a client any purpose. So while I do still sprinkle in the educational stuff because I think it's important, I don't usually make that my main focus anymore. I've been posting a lot of like kind of inspirational stuff, a little bit more like helpful and encouraging things. You know, like I did some videos specifically about transformation and how, you know, where I started from, I kind of equated it to like a caterpillar. And then over time, you know, I got into this cocoon, and the cocoon to me kind of represented for myself was dying to the person I thought I needed to be and coming out and emerging as who I really was as a butterfly. So really just being authentic, not being afraid to show my vulnerability. Like, you know, I posted something several months ago about a health issue that I've been battling with. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and it was something I've never ever had anything wrong with me before. And for the longest time, I kept it to myself. And then I was like, you know what? There might be people out there that are thinking, you know, feeling the same way, even if they're just having a bad day. Posted that, and I couldn't believe the amount of people that messaged me and were like, oh my gosh, like me too, or oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing. Like I've been struggling with this. And so I realized that posting a lot of that kind of stuff really connected with people and showed that I am a real human being that just happens to sell houses. I'm not just a realtor. And so I think that telling stories and just showcasing my everyday life. That's why I love stories so much, because stories to me is like a digital diary. And I remember someone saying to me one time, she was annoyed with me and she's like, I had to unfollow you because, you know, Instagram's not a diary. And I'm like, well, it is for me. So if you're welcome to unfollow me all you want, you're probably not somebody that I want to talk to anyway. So, because people want to see what you're doing every day. They want to see the stupid stuff and the goofy things you're doing. Like, you know, I've posted pictures of my dog and I put a poll. Like polls are phenomenal for when it comes to engagement. Like I put a picture of my dog and I say, how cute is he? And I put like, you know, 2 answers because people love to give opinions. Or yesterday I posted a video of I found a pull out cutting board from an old house. And I was like, look at this. That's how you know you're an adult. And you know, or I posted a picture of a t-shirt my brother gave me. My birthday's today, but I went out to dinner with my brother a few nights ago and he got me a t-shirt that said world's okayest sister. And I left it at the restaurant accidentally. So I told him, I was like, oops, I left the t-shirt at the restaurant. I said, I guess I'm living up to the expectation. So then he went and stopped by yesterday and brought me a new t-shirt that says world's worst sister. Like, I'm not even kidding. So like I posted that on my story about like, yeah, now I'm the world's worst sister. And the amount of people that like respond to that and think it's funny, go, oh my gosh, like it's not overthinking it. It's just literally posting what you're doing throughout the day and silly things, funny things, sad things, you
Yeah.
know, I'm having a bad day things. Like people want to see that authenticity and see that you're just like them. So
No, I love that. I say it a lot, and a lot of the guests that come on the show all say the same thing, that stories is where business happens. That's where people
yeah.
message you. And I used to not use my stories at all. I didn't even really get what the purpose was, but I love how you said it's a digital diary. And so it's kind of one of my goals, like every day to post something with my face on the camera, just like, hey, I'm doing blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And it could be, like you said, random. Like I don't have kids, but I'll post like my dog and cat and get people like, are you a cat dog person, whatever. And then a big tip is responding back to people that vote, because I
Mhm.
think a lot of times people miss that step. It's like, okay, 50 people voted, like, so what? Like, so the goal is always start a conversation. So even if it's
Yeah.
something dumb, like a dog, cat, like, oh, how many dogs do you have? What kind do you have? Whatever. And just, you're just striking up conversations. And then blend in a little bit of real estate too. Like if you're showing homes or whatever, it's like, but people, like you said, they love just seeing who you are. And I think you're
Yeah.
doing like a really awesome, awesome job of that.
Thank
Someone in
you.
the Candace said that that's something like her brother would buy her. So we always see relatability in here in the chat
Yeah,
group.
my brother is like my best friend, so we definitely that we have that kind of relationship. So
All right. Any other tips? Like what is working for you? Is there like a particular strategy you have, or certain, I mean, I know you talked a lot about just being authentic in your stories, but is there like any other tip that you would say is helping you to get business or start conversations?
yeah, absolutely. So I actually wrote that down because I wanted to remember to cover everything. But like I just mentioned in my stories, I really like to do a lot of polls. I like to do quizzes. The ask me anything feature, like I've had people like I ask, you know, hey, what's your opinion on this? And even if I don't post the questions, which I know some people do, and there's times that I do and there's times that I don't. I definitely respond to every person and like whatever their you know response was to my question, I do that. That kind of stuff really helps with engagement. Posting things where you actually have an opinion on it, like I guess controversial posts, not like don't get polarizing with the political stuff, but you know, like I posted something about the NAR settlement. Whoo, let me tell you what, like the hate that I got in the comments, but you got to be prepared for that. If you're, I used to be someone who'd be like, oh, but I realize that that's just all part of it. People are going to do it regardless. You're going to get some trolls that just want to make a comment just to be complete a-holes. That's just part of being on social media. But doing that kind of stuff really does get a lot of engagement. I do a lot of B-roll footage that just has text on the screen. Like I've started going to like a you know a studio for doing batch content creating for certain topics I want to talk about, and I use those to sprinkle into my social media because really when it comes down to it, this is what this is all you need is a phone and maybe a microphone to clear out the echo. Get yourself a gimbal, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, people want to see that, and a lot of times my phone videos perform better than the professional ones. But the controversial ones, the authenticity, vulnerability, giveaways do really well because obviously people want free stuff. So that's why I wanted to include that one you showed about the guess the
Amazon gift
price
card, yeah.
because people want to engage and they will do anything for something for free. So, and that's a great way too to collect email addresses. So you can always build your database, because if Instagram went away tomorrow, you want to be able to still have and capture those people. So, and something really, really important as well to help with your own engagement is to not just consume, but to also go out there and engage. Like, so I make it a point every single day as part of my prospecting that I do is engaging with people. I go and I make comments and I send, like, it's meaningful comments, not just, hey, here's an emoji, but like maybe think of something specific to say, or I send DMs, or I do, video one-to-one messages to people, and I go through people's stories and I engage and I make nice comments and things. Because when you do that, people are seeing that you're out there, and the algorithm, it is what it is. I feel like it does its own thing. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but you do want to have yourself out there and engaging more and not just consuming it, because people want to be able to see you. So those are pretty much, I'm looking at my notes to make sure I gave it all. Those are pretty much everything that I do is it's just kind of a mix of all of that. I like to throw humor in there. So a lot of times I'll do like educational and maybe something funny and then something personal, and mixing that with a reel or a swiper post or a still shot. You want to keep it mixed up like that. So that's what's working for me and where I've seen most of my success. And honestly, one of my other videos, I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but was a lead that I got, and it was literally one of those CapCut templates,
Yes.
where it was Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone talking about how he doesn't like to go in the basement. But I put it on there as a reason why I don't go to a certain city in Tampa where I live after dark. That thing blew up. I had so much engagement on that. Like, I have almost 1 million views on that one. And I ended up getting a lead from that because the person who had just recently moved here saw it, thought it was funny, clicked on my profile and was like, oh my gosh, like, she's a real estate agent. I was not expecting her to be a real estate agent. So then she kind of just started watching me and following me. And now we're closing on a house with them next week. So
Awesome.
even the
Yeah,
non-real estate ones get you
local
some
stuff is
leads.
big, and local things, like because I saw that little clip and you were talking about like some place, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is, but like the people that you said 1 million people, it's the people that live there that know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. They're like,
Yeah.
haha, that's funny.
And a
Um,
lot of I'm getting ready to do a lot of the more local stuff too, because Tampa has so much really cool stuff that I've lived here for so long, and it's so easy to forget about your own city and the things that are awesome about it and why people should want to move here and want to live here. So that's something also that I'm starting to implement more, is to do more. I do local spotlights and I sprinkle them in here and there for places I like to go, but it's something on my content list that I'm starting to implement more this year, is to do more of the local stuff, because people want to know what your town is like, and it's really going to help you get a lot of engagement and eyes on your stuff. So
I'm 100% with you. I used to do that. This last year has been rough. Like, I was talking to my husband, I'm like, we need to start doing fun stuff. Both of us, our parents are not doing well health wise. So both our moms got cancer. We had his mom living with us for a while. And so I'm like, I used to post fun local stuff, and I'm like, we just have not been having fun lately. It's
I
been
know.
bad. So we're making a point to go out like on Thursdays, because it's usually a little quieter, and do like something fun. And so I posted last 2 weekends, like we went out Thursday and then I posted something Friday, like, here's a fun idea for this weekend. And what's cool is I had several like even my past clients and just local people that are like went there based on my post, and they like tagged me in the photos, like, great recommendation and stuff. And so I was like, I need to start doing that. My content buckets that I try to focus on have to go back to those 5 words of like what I want my clients to feel. And so the big 3 are like educated, inspired, entertained. So I try to do something educational, something inspirational, and then some, and like humor. If I can blend humor in, that's like all of it, but I'm adding in local fun again, just because
Yeah.
I'm like, I need it in my own
Yep.
life. And then just like, and again, for people that don't want to buy and sell, it's like, hey, look what you can do here in Austin. So
Yeah.
I
And
love that.
it's easy to get stuck in repetition and what's familiar to you. And I said that to my husband. I'm like, we go to the same places all the time. So like, I've started writing down restaurants and places that we want to go. And the thing is too, is to remember to take videos and to take content, because we're in such a digital age right now that it's like, if you're pulling your phone out to do it, I'm guaranteed there's probably at least 10 other people in that restaurant that are doing it. And I used to be like that, like, oh, I'm really sorry, I'm gonna do a real quick video. I don't care anymore, like, because I'm doing it to help people. Like, that's what we're here for, is to help people. We're here to, you know, to inspire them and help them and to showcase what we can do to help them. Like it's about them. Social media is not just about us and what we want and what we want to do, because if that's how you're doing it, then you've really got your personal brand all wrong. You kind of, it's really, we're here to serve, you know, other people. So
Awesome. Well, I feel like I learned just like tons of information. Like you reiterated just a lot of like really important takeaways. There's a couple questions I've got in here. Someone is asking, are we either of us using Threads, Instagram Threads? Did you ever get on Threads?
I am on Threads, and it was one of those I jumped on when everybody else did, and then I kind of let it go to the wayside. And then lately I've been like, you know what? I'm like, a lot of the random thoughts and things that I have that I used to post on Facebook, which I still do, I need to start putting those on Threads, because I do get like random stupid, funny one-liners, and I'm like, this is what Threads is for. So I've been making it a point to get a little bit more into Threads and being consistent with posting there as well, because I think it's kind of like people want that kind of stuff, and it kind of takes a break from all the visual stuff that we have on Instagram and even on Facebook. I know Instagram is mostly videos and pictures. Facebook's a little bit of mix of both, but I think sometimes our eyes and our minds need a break from the constant shiny flashing lights and just kind of read what people are thinking and read what people are saying and engaging with. So
Cool. So to answer the question, Brenda, follow Alyssa. I am not using it. I got on it and I was like completely overwhelmed by it for like 5 days. And I was just like, I can't do this. I'm already I
yeah,
can handle one platform. So I'm like, I take care of Instagram. I'm doing YouTube. I've got a assistant helping me with that. But I was like, I just can't take on another thing right now. But I know Ed Stulak. If you know Ed Stulak, we'll put him in here. It's like, okay, I put his name in there. You can look him up on Instagram. I know he does a lot on Threads as well, but otherwise I haven't.
yeah.
Anyone
Ed's a
else
really
using
good friend of
Threads?
mine, so he's a great guy.
Anyone else in the audience using Threads? Just curious. Not yet. And someone asked for the name of the coaches. So you were using Giselle Ugarde, which I will
Mhm.
put in the chat. And then I was using Andrea Fox. She doesn't live in Austin anymore. She was a foodie blogger in Austin. I was just following all of her food accounts. And then I saw that she was kind of getting into coaching and stuff. And so the reason I picked her was just because I wanted a local homeowner in my city to just evaluate me. You know, that was not anything real estate related. She now lives, I think, in Charleston, and still does coaching there, but you can look up Andrea Fox. Her account used to be called Time of Dre. And then do I see anything else? So I will open it up for questions from the audience. If anyone has a question for Alyssa, you can just come off mute. Or if you want to share also your biggest takeaway, you can drop that in the chat. So like the one thing that resonated most with you, if you don't have a question, drop that in there, or you can share it as well.
I'll ask the question.
Yes.
Hi, this is Kim Lamantia.
Hi, Kim.
So she did ask you the question about how this has affected your business, and I'm
Mhm.
curious, are you getting like lots of sales from doing this? And is this the only way that you're marketing yourself, or are you also doing open houses and such?
This is my main lead pillar. Social media, Instagram is my main lead pillar, and this is where I'm getting most of my business from. I not only do my videos for my page, but another part of social media that I'm using to help build my business is doing, like I mentioned, the one-to-one video messages with other agents around the country. I've actually built a pretty good agent to agent referral database so far, and I continue to grow it. And all of my leads that I get, like I looked back at my business yesterday, or I'm sorry, for last year, and looked at what I've been closing so far this year. And all of my business is coming from either agent to agent or my social media. It's one or two from my sphere of influence. So I realize that, like, for me personally, I know that when you get into real estate, they tell you to do the things like door knocking, cold calling, open houses, been there, done that, did all of them. Hated cold calling, hated door knocking. I'll still do it like when I have a listing, obviously I do door knocking for that, and I do the circle prospecting and things like that. But like picking up the phone and calling people I don't know, that's not my jam, because I figured that, if I got the time to try to convince people who don't know me to work with me, I may as well do it in a way with focus that time on people who have worked with me or people who know me, or building relationships with people who are going to see me on a daily basis. Even with my past clients, which I do hate calling them past clients because so many of them now have actually legitimately become good friends of mine. I follow all of them. I add them on social media and let them follow me, because that's the easiest way to continue to keep in touch with them as well. Of course, I do quarterly check-ins. I do client events. I do all of that, but that's a way for them to see you and stay top of mind every day. So to answer your question, social media is my main lead pillar. And that is really where I focus most of my attention and my money and things like that. So
Someone else,
Great, thank
Allie
you.
just
Yeah.
Allie just posted, she asked, do you cross post? Like, so all the stuff you're investing into Instagram, do you put it on YouTube Shorts, Facebook, TikTok? And then if so, are you using some kind of like social media management platform like a Hootsuite or something?
I do cross post. I just recently this year, one of my 2024 goals was to get my YouTube channel up and working. It's really just been one of those at the moment where I'm just posting all of my shorts there and just trying to kind of grow a following, get a presence there, because a lot of my long form, a lot of my local stuff, I want to do like longer videos and post it to there. So I wanted to kind of get it up and running. So I always post to my Instagram, I'll post it to Facebook, and that's every day. My calendar, I spend at least an hour or two, which is my prospecting, and I make sure I post to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I do my, my coach called it the fresh 15, which is when I go and interact with people, but I do it more than that. I don't just do 5, 5, and 5. I try to really spend at least 20 to 30 minutes doing that. I do 5 video to video messages to agents every day. So I do cross promote all of that. I do it all myself. I get people all the time who message me and like, hey, let me manage your social media. Some people like that. I don't, because I feel like that it's not me now. I want it to be me. I want it to be me who's in charge of it. And if that means me giving up everything else that, I need to outsource it, which I pretty much anything that's not income producing for me, I do my best to outsource it as long as I can maintain my social media. That's really my baby. And I don't want to give that up to somebody else or a program or anything like that.
Okay. I love that. I kind of manage my own Instagram too. I do have help on YouTube as far as like someone editing, because it's just the editing piece I can't do. But I'm the same way. I like to respond. I go in there and I always respond. It's me responding to the comments because I want it to be me and talking.
Yep.
Richard, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, what's up, Alyssa?
Love Richard. He's awesome. He's a good friend of mine too.
Um, Happy birthday.
Thank
And
you.
can you talk a little bit about the Six Studio that you've been using lately?
Oh, so that is actually, I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but there's a thing called Peer Space, and you can actually look up studios that have the equipment and things like that. And you basically pay to go in there. They have all the equipment, they film everything for you. They've got a teleprompter, which is great because I know Shannon and I shared my blooper video with you because I used to memorize all my scripts, and that's literally how my bloopers used to go. So it's actually pretty cool to have a teleprompter now, so I can kind of focus on that. And it's pretty, for me, I think that the amount of money that I put into it and what they do with the videoing, and then they can also do the editing for me, it's worth every penny for me. So when I usually just go in and do like 8 to 10 videos, I'm usually in and out in 2 hours. They edit it and send me the footage, and then I just use it to pepper into the rest of my stuff, because I do love the studio stuff, but like I said, I don't want to come off like I'm so polished that people forget who I really am, because those are a little bit more polished. So I kind of just like to sprinkle those in here and there. So, but you guys can look on Peerspace. They have places like that you can rent. And now that I know the guy, we kind of just do things one-on-one instead of me going through that Peerspace place. So, because he makes more money that way.
Nice.
That's cool.
And
I had noticed that too. That's a good question, Rich.
then question for both of you. What do you do? So obviously my stuff is very like catered to what I do, but I want to do more like San Francisco stuff, but I have a spouse that is very much like, put your phone away, don't take video, like enjoy the moment. What do you do when you have a spouse like that that just does not want you filming or making content on their time?
Well, my husband asked me a question one time because I'm sure you know, Rich, and maybe some others know, is that I'm a contributor for a broke agent now, doing the doing articles and doing things like that. And my husband's like, well, how is that going to benefit you financially with your business, or how is videoing all this stuff? And I'm like, well, because it's actually getting me business. Like somebody saw in a BAM article, another agent, and she was like kind of started following me and lurking in the background and like, who is this person all about? And she ended up reaching out to me and referring a client to me. And same with the videoing. I said to my husband, I was like, well, now you can see, because it takes time. I'm going to tell you guys, doing the videos, Rich, I'm sure you have so much that goes into your videos. I'm impressed with that. I'm just like, God bless you. You do so much with that stuff, and your stuff is incredible. And it takes time to build that. And it takes time to get to that point where you are consistently getting business. But that's what you have to do in order to do it. So I guess I can understand, because your wife's like, hey, man, it's on our time. But I'd be like, can I just do this? Or maybe even just set time aside. Like I have days where I'm like, okay, this day I'm going to go out and start filming some stuff around Tampa. Or I started telling my husband, hey, I can write this off on my taxes because we're going to go sit in a restaurant for business. It's just going to help us financially too. So, I think as long as you're not maybe consuming the entire time, just say, hey, babe, I need a few minutes. We're here at this restaurant. Let me just get some quick video. And I think that, they would
I,
understand a little bit
I
more.
would say the same thing. Like my husband, we work together and he understands now that he's more in the real estate industry and stuff. He'll even like when we get food, he's like, oh wait, do you want to film this first? Or
My
can I
husband does that now too. He's like, do you want a picture?
but
Go
the thing
ahead.
is, like, I'm not editing the video there. Like we, like I said, we're out trying to do fun stuff now on Thursdays. And it's not like my day was ruined because the whole time I was on the phone, but it's just, we go out there. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I just snap some photos, maybe spend like 2 minutes in a restaurant or a minute or something and just kind of like snap some stuff. Later on, I can edit it myself and just throw it into CapCut, do a voiceover for stuff like that. Or just sometimes it's even just like a carousel of photos or something, but it doesn't like ruin the dinner or ruin the day. It's like literally just like a minute or two, just snap, 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 snap. And that helps.
Yeah, I'm really close to getting the Ray-Ban like video glasses. Just be like, look, so it doesn't even, you don't even know I'm doing it.
You're like, babe, it's gonna help us make money. That's what it is. Like, because you're getting out there, and it's gonna eventually get you some money. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Jimmy?
the advice.
of course.
Jimmy, you got your hand up?
Yeah. When you get listings, do you do any kind of creative marketing videos for those listings?
I do. So I have two that come to mind. I did one where I had like the Full House music playing in the background, and the video was going through the house, but you saw me like throughout it, like washing dishes, and I would like stop and wave. And then like I was on the swing set, like, because it kind of like just breaks it up and, makes it fun. And then I did another one where I was pretending like I was showing the property to a millennial buyer, and I was like using the wrong slang the whole entire time. And that was actually inspired by my own children, because I remember when they were younger teenagers, they're both adults now, and they know how I am, and they don't get as embarrassed by me anymore. But when they were little, I really liked to do it. So I would like purposely use wrong slang in front of their friends. Like I remember walking out to my living room one day and I was like, man, this living room is lit. And I turned the light on and they were like, oh my God. So I used that to kind of do a video, and basically was like, hey, and using the wrong slang when I was talking about things throughout the house. And that did really well. And people thought that was funny, and it kind of got people's attention for the property. So
Okay, cool.
and I actually have a really
Um,
cool thing coming up. I not only do it with listings, but I'm doing it with buyers too. Like I had an idea come through for my buyers that I'm closing on next week. I'm not going to say it now because I want to post it, but I came up with this idea of a video to do, because everyone does the, oh look, we just closed. And I went from just doing a still shot of the property and what the price was, to I started taking pictures with everybody that I work with, and I write a story about them in the caption of like who these people are and how the transaction went and what were some of our challenges, what were some of our successes. And those are great too, and I still do them. But every once in a while I get this idea of like wanting to do something different. So I came up with this video idea, and I reached out to my buyers and I was like, you guys seem like the kind of people who would do this with me. And I mentioned it to them. They're like, oh my gosh, this is why you are a realtor. So I'm excited to film that and post that in the next couple of weeks. So it'll be fun. People like to have fun, so don't be afraid to have
Alyssa
fun.
Alyssa and Shannon, can you chime in here too? have either of you noticed in the past 2, 3 weeks engagement and views like dropping significantly? Like you feel like there was an algorithm change or anything like that?
Um, Personally, I did notice some of that. The one thing that I've learned to do though, it was really hard in the beginning, is to not focus on they call them the vanity metrics. And
Yeah.
I actually wrote down a note here with that because I wanted to make sure that I brought that up too, because it's really easy to get caught up in that stuff and think that that is like where our value is, and it's not. So even though I do like to see like how many views or whatever is happening, I don't really try to focus on that much. I know who like I'm trying to talk to, and I know that the right person is going to get it. It doesn't have to be all people. It just has to be the right person. But I did notice that there has been some downplay of it, but I just wouldn't worry about that. It's just my advice would be just to not worry about that. Just keep posting what you're posting, and it'll figure itself out. Because I think as soon as you think you figured it out, it's changing again. So you can't really control that.
I
Yeah. It was,
say the same.
you feel the same way,
Kind of, yeah.
Shannon? Yeah, yeah. I was crushing it like a month ago, and then I just don't know if my videos got shitty or something changed. But yeah, engagement went like way down all of a sudden. It's still good, but like it changed drastically from like every video getting like 100,000 views and tons of comments to like down to like 10,000, you know?
Well, you know what? Even if you only have 500 people who look at it, that's 500 people who saw your stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
on top of that, most times, like, and I just wrote an article on this. I don't know when it'll be coming out. I just submitted it last night for BAM. Is I'm talking exactly about that. I call them the lurkers and the looky-loos. I actually heard that term from one of my coaches. And those are the ones like that's where the money is. Like the three of the leads I've gotten recently from my social media, none of those people interacted with my videos. None of those people commented. None of those people did anything, but they still reached out to me and booked an
And
appointment with
like
me.
randomly reach out all of a sudden they've
Yep.
been watching you for a long time, never
Yep.
said anything, never commented, and then all of a sudden sent you a DM.
Yep, that's exactly how it worked. And
Yeah.
because I was curious about that, because I know the couple that liked my falling down the stairs video, they booked an appointment with me through my Calendly link. And so when I asked them what video stood out to them, they told me that. I went back and looked. There was no indication whatsoever that they were ever on my video because they didn't engage with it at all. And they ended up hiring me and loved working with me. And now they're going to be future referrals and future business. So don't get so hung up on that. You never know who's watching and who's saving it, who's sharing it. You never know who's watching. So don't
I
get
can
You
discouraged.
feel you get most of your reach outs from your reels or conversations started from your stories?
Um, I think it's a little bit of both because I feel like stories, it tends to be a lot of people who are already following me are on stories. I mean, there are some that like I can see at the bottom, like when you shows you there's other people that don't follow me and look at it. But I get a lot of conversations started in my stories, just engaging with people and talking. But I mean, I feel like it's a mix of both, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was going to
Okay.
add also just about getting the low views because sometimes I feel the same way. Like I put effort into something and I thought it was funny and I thought it was going to take off and then it like doesn't do well. And I heard Jason Pantana say this. He's like, at the most, the life expectancy of a reel is like 24 to 48 hours. So you sometimes feel like you're just making all this great content and then it's like, well, who's going to see it again? So he's like, find out how do you like extend the life shelf of it. So he's like, put it onto your YouTube shorts, put it into your newsletter, do a content roundup, like figure out like how else could you email it, could you like do other things to get the video out there,
And repurpose it too. Like
yeah,
you can go back in your old content and look, and maybe you did a reel, but now you're going to turn it into a swiper post, or maybe you did a swiper post and now you want to talk about it on a reel. Like you can switch things up like that. And the chances that somebody, and I know there's like a specific quote and metrics of like so and so many people may have saw it, but then this many people saw it. Like I can't remember the quote is, but basically like chances are even if someone that you follow saw it, there's how many people who didn't see it. So even if you repurpose it and repost it, you're still getting fresh eyes on it. And even if somebody already saw it, they may not even realize they did, because now you're taking a reel to a swiper or a swiper to reel, vice versa, having it repurposed in multiple different ways, and go back and look at some of your better performing content pieces and say, how did I do this? And now I'm going to switch it. Like, I did a swiper post of, because I had done videos of me like, let me introduce myself and let me tell you who I am. And then I decided I wanted to do a swiper one that I could pin to my page. And that like got way more engagement than anytime I ever did a let me introduce myself reel. So it could have been timing. It could have been just, people want to swipe instead of looking at another video. I mean, you never know. So just keeping it fresh and not being afraid to repurpose old stuff, you're going to reach a new audience regardless. So.
All right. Any other last minute questions? We're almost at the top of the hour here, and they're going to kick us off for the next webinar. Anyone? Well, thank you so much, Alyssa. Like I said, if you are not following Alyssa, again, you can connect with her here. And I know she is kind enough to share. And so if you have further questions, you'd probably be okay if they sent you a DM or something to follow up there, but just definitely follow her account. And something I want to also show is that she does not have like a mega account, and I want to always showcase this, because sometimes I think like for people to think like to do good on business, you need like 20, 30,000 subscribers. You have 2,300, which by Instagram standards is like fairly small, but obviously you're growing, and I could see that skyrocketing over the next year or so. But I just want to like emphasize that always, like, it does not matter if you're like, I only have 100 followers or whatever. It's like as long as they're engaged and connected, you'll get business from it. So,
and that's true. Like when I first started, I had, I think 700 followers, and in less than a year, I had doubled it. And then from September to now, I've doubled it again, because you're being consistent, you're posting, and doing all of that. That's, if you take anything away from today, I would say is to don't be afraid to get on camera and to be consistent, and don't focus on the metrics. Just figure out who your audience is, who you want to talk to, who you want to serve, who you are, and then just tell your story, and you're going to attract the people that you want to attract. So.
Love it. We'll end on that note. Thank you guys so much. I will send out a recording of this. I'm out at Video Blueprint, so it may be next week, Monday or so, when I send out the link, but everyone who was here will get the recording as well. So thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, everyone who attended. Bye.
Bye, guys.